Is my light on?
Yep.
I don't see any chat over here.
Jose Gabriel Garcia is here. Saying cool car.
Hey, Gabriel. How are you? Oh, it comes on and then it goes off over here.
Yeah.
So, can't see it.
That's why I was having so many issues on the first live. Because I couldn't see it. That's why I pulled out my phone.
Well, YouTube wants everybody to go vertical on their lives, and you just don't get to see enough.
Yeah.
So
Jose Gabriel says, I'm good.
That's good. These cars are this is my patio here. And these cars will be worked on at some point. Hello, Chris. Good to see you here.
Hey, Chris.
How are the microphones? Are you hearing everything? Hearing it clearly? Can you hear all the birds around us?
Also, apologize for future coughing.
Oh, yes. I'll get that out of the way. I still have my cough, Chris, so you're going to hear it every once in a while. Talking about it brings it out more.
Yeah.
We know how that is.
Feliz Concolor is here.
Hello, Felis. Felis?
And yes, it says no birds through my speakers, but I can hear you loud and clear.
Good. Then these microphones are working. We tried to use them in the car when we were driving the Fairmont, but I guess it was canceling out the noise from the car, so you couldn't hear us either. So it was a complete failure.
I think it was more like the signal, like it was not made to travel or something, because it was weird. Jose Gabriel says my favorite car is Ford Grand Marquis from 1980s.
Yeah, they're very good. That was my family's car. My father bought my mother a 1988 Lincoln Town car in dark blue, white interior. Then he bought her an 87 Crown Victoria in white with dark blue interior, the exact opposite color scheme, but they're basically the exact same car.
Can you read me that to my cup? Lester is here. He says hello.
Hi, Lester. Thank you for coming.
Chris says, ain't technology great?
Sometimes. Your alarm in your car was technology too, but you ripped it out. Is your foot feeling any better?
No, that was Chris that said ain't technology great.
Oh. Chris, you know about technology.
Buffalo Campos here.
Hi, Buff. Thank you very much for coming. You have any questions for me in public?
Bruce Culkin says, I happen to have a 77 Mercury Grand Marquis.
I love those cars. I had one as well. It wasn't a Grand Marquis. It was a station wagon that was made into a first call car. It wasn't one of the famous ones, but great car. Absolutely great car. It's hard to find the station wagons in Mercury these days.
Chris says, yeah, I know about technology. That's why I spend so much time avoiding it. Jose says, I really love your channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jose.
We try. Mike in 32451 is here.
Hi, Mike. Thank you very much for coming to our question and answer.
He wants to know what kind of hail damage was on the Dart. Miraculously, none.
So, not only was there no hail damage on the Dart, there was no hail damage on any of the cars around it.
Yeah, the parking lot was full. We checked afterwards and there was no damage.
Yeah, all these newer cars with thin metal, but a guy from Colorado explained that if it's white hail, it's soft. Even though it hurt me, hurt Mrs. Mexican Spec, we both had bruises on our backs.
Well, water falling hard is hard.
Yeah, but if it's actually clear and ice, then it does damage. But it was white, so
yeah,
it didn't do any damage at all. Except it did leave in the morning when it dried up. There were little rocks, little pebbles all over the car. So I'm guessing that the little pebbles were inside the hail. How it got in there, I don't know, but it was all over the car.
Yeah, and there was two Google Maps cars with the cameras on top, and they also didn't get damaged. They had
Yeah,
tarps on them, but still, they're
yeah. They
cameras.
covered the cameras.
Yeah. Lester says my food is feeling better, and yes, I rip out aftermarket technology. Chris says we had an 85-gram marquee at one point. Mike says what a nightmare situation that was. Phyllis says reason I kept buying GM frame bodies, Country Squire rental in '84, and that didn't carry over into the last Gen Panther era.
Right, right.
Mike says, "You lucky, so lucky. Yeah, we were very, very lucky with
Yeah,
that.
it was very lucky. And what happened was it was like 73 degrees outside and the sky completely sunny, not a cloud in the sky. In 10 minutes, the sky opened up. I've never experienced anything like that before. Of course, we're going to find the next hotel in that town. If we go back there to buy another car, we're going to find a hotel with covered parking
Yeah,
because that was just crazy. And I had disabled the car so nobody would steal it because it's easy to steal that car. So I couldn't just hop in it and go drive it under a roof or anything. I had to put the battery back in. I had to connect. I had to move the spark plug wires around and stuff. So it just wasn't possible, and it hurt.
yeah.
That hail hurt.
We ended up with some bruises after that. Jose says I have my 1996 Ford F-250. I do like big trucks.
Yeah.
Phyllis says the rocks, dust, grit were the condensation nuclei for the hail. I'm guessing.
I've just
Yeah.
never experienced it before. We don't have it. Didn't have it in Southern California. Certainly didn't have it in Las Vegas.
Yeah, we don't have hail. Well, I think one time when I was a tiny little girl, we had hail here, but no, it's rare.
We're at we're at the beach. Basically, the beach is down the road. Why we don't have more rain here, I don't know. We're at the beach is in the channel between Baja California and the mainland. So I guess that's why it's not like there's storms coming from the ocean and hitting. They do have that down in Puerto Vallarta, places like that, but we don't have that here. And we had a storm heading our way last night, and we were really planning, really excited that we were going to get some rain here, and then it dissipated when it hit the land.
Yeah.
So I saw videos today that people were really disappointed it's not raining today.
Yeah. Jay's here.
Hi, Jay. Thank you very much for coming.
And Chris says we get hail here maybe 2, 3 times a year, but it's usually pea size, not golf ball size.
Yeah. When there another message?
Rocket Restorations is here.
Hi, Tom. Glad you could make it. I can answer all your questions about importing Mexican vehicles. When we were eating our dinner, when the sky opened up, it literally sounded like softball sized hail hitting the roof. It was a thin metal roof on the mall, and it literally sounded like softball sized hail hitting. I couldn't imagine that tiny little hail that it actually was making such a huge sound
Yeah.
on the roof. It was like boom, 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 not like that. It was something I've never experienced before.
I had to yell to be heard because it was so loud
Yeah,
inside that place.
there was no insulation on the roof at all. They weren't thinking about anything like that. So the next day, we asked the waitress at the restaurant near the hotel, "Does this happen often?" She says, "Yes." She says, "Not hail, but it can go from sunny to rain right away. I guess because of the elevation of
Yeah.
the city." So it was crazy.
Mike says probably that Sahara dust they're talking about lately. Yeah, it's that time of year. The summer storms pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it sure did. Not a cloud in the sky to hail all over the place, and it lasted about 20 minutes. Hit the hail hitting the cars. So unbelievable.
Sorry, Jay, are you asking us that or are you asking somebody else? Jay wants to know what city are you in, but I'm not sure if he's asking us or someone else. Because he just said hi to Mike. To us, okay. He wants to know what city are we in?
We live in Los Mochis in Sinaloa.
Famous town.
Yeah, everybody knows what Sinaloa is. We bought the car in Pachuca, Hidalgo, which is farther south. It's about 100 kilometers north of Mexico City, and that whole area is has a much higher elevation than we do here. So the weather is unpredictable. I found out.
Okay. Phyllis says, no, wait. Phyllis says a friend's wife was fixing dinner, living out on the flats east of Colorado Springs when a softball sized hailstone punched through 3 layers of plexiglass skylight, missing her by perhaps 4 inches.
Wow, wow. That must have been a pretty high elevation because as it comes farther down, then it gets smaller and smaller as it
Yeah.
starts melting. So we saw videos of other people. It must have been a different day in the same city that show he had a Camaro or something, and he moved the cover, and the hail had destroyed their rear window. So we got lucky that there was absolutely no damage at all.
Yeah.
Well,
And sorry, Fon says, "Oh, I thought you were where the hell was." No, that's like central Mexico.
yeah,
Um, and Phyllis says, "Yeah, she's around 6,000 feet there."
that's high.
Yeah. Jesus, updrafts causes rain to become hail. I little hard. I can't see the messages correctly.
I need to read it though. I wish every day it was that day, Dean. Here we have to deal with a lot of heat, humidity,
Yeah.
not much rain, which is weird because we're right. Well, we're near the channel. We're not near the ocean.
Last night we were at 80% humidity.
Yeah.
80% humidity. I was sweating my ass off. Mike says there are inflatable covers you can quickly throw on your car for hailstorm if it keeps it outside. Yeah, I've seen those, but we were
We
prepared for that.
yeah, we were not prepared for anything because it came on in 10 minutes. I just sat down with a really in front of me, which was only like $6.
Yeah.
So, fully on in front of me, and I was eating, and I started eating angrily. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I disabled the car. I can't move it, and then the only thing we were able to do was go back to the hotel. We were in the lobby watching everything going on. Then we went up to the room and watching it out the window, just the parking lot covered in white, all the cars covered in white, and not knowing the whole night if the car was damaged. And then all of our clothes were soaked. I only brought one pair of jeans, so Mrs. Spec had to get the hair dryer out, dry out the shoes because we were soaked them in water out there.
Yeah.
Dry the shoes, dry the pants for the next day. Oh man, it was a thing. It was a whole thing.
Chris says, wait, do you have any new car deals in the works?
Did you see the thumbnail, Chris? I've got a guy that wants both of those hormigas. He wants me to go pick them up and deliver them to the border. Sorry about the cough; it's still here. And the other one was what was the other one I put on there?
I don't know. I
The
was
other deal.
asleep.
Oh, the Volkswagen van.
I was asleep.
The Volkswagen van that the guy wants. I don't know if he wants me to bring it to the Arizona border so he can have it shipped to Canada, which he lives there. But he also has a house in the most southern part of Mexico. So from Mexico City, he may send a guy up to pick it up in Mexico City, or I'll drive it down there, which I'm not really looking forward to. Chris, you know how slow those are on the highway because it's an air cooled, it's not the water cooled. So I don't know where we're going yet. The guy contacted me that he would come up to get it, but he hasn't sent me a message. So those are the three that are in the works right now. Do you guys know what an Ormiga is? John, Chris, do you? It's a Volkswagen. Do you know what an Ormiga is?
Uh, Mike says camper Volkswagen bus.
Yeah, the camper is an Ormiga that had a camper built on the back. It's a they made 3,600 of them in Mexico. There was a few other countries that made a few in 76, 70, 77, 78. It has a Type 1 engine underneath the driver's seat. It's front wheel drive. It's the most basic Volkswagen you will ever see. And I do not want to drive it anywhere. So I'm thinking, how am I going to get, because one is like, let's say the base city, one is 300 kilometers in one direction and the other one is 200 kilometers in the other direction. And I need to get both of them to Guadalajara so the transport company can bring them to where I am. So I'm trying to figure out how to do all this the easiest way possible.
Dean says he promised to be back every day.
Oh, well, that's good. We know that's true.
Chris says, I'll take cold and snow over high hot humidity any day of the week. And Jay agrees with him. Phyllis says, a sudden hailstorm happened to a friend driving home in his Sprinter work van. All he could do was watch as the windshield shattered, then got pushed closer and closer to his face.
Yeah, yeah. That must have been pretty big hail then.
Chris says, just checked it out. Are all the Volkswagens there to tempt me?
Not all of them. Some, not all of them. Well, this is not a vehicle you would want to drive. They were made just to move stuff around. It's got the Beetle speedometer with the little turn signal light in it, and that's it. There's nothing inside. Nothing inside.
But it's like a base to build on.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're still, as a driver, you're still sitting there driving with the engine right under your butt, the transaxle right under your butt.
Fun wants to know where in Canada is he?
I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Chris wants to know. Chris says, I know what a Omega is, but they never sold them here in the U.S.
Nope, they only made them in Mexico. They made them, I think, in Germany. As it was a bit different. But they only made a couple thousand, then only made 3,600 of them here. So the sellers want all the money for it. I was on the phone with a seller yesterday. The ad says it needs nothing. If this is not to restore, needs nothing. And then when he's on the phone, the guy just wouldn't shut up. He was on and on and on. Oh, well, it doesn't have a windshield wiper. You need to put a windshield wiper in. You need to do this. You need to do that. And then I saw the pictures from the inside, and I could see that the front end was damaged on the inside of the metal, but they had fixed it on the outside of the metal. And he wanted like close to 200,000 pesos for it. So I'm like, no, thank you. No.
Phyllis says it looks like something you would use in a warehouse.
Maybe. But from what I understand, when they were new, they companies would put like boxes on them and deliver potato chips and stuff to the local stores all over town, because they use almost no gasoline, and you could put a lot of potato chips in there because there was no weight. Yeah. So you didn't have to worry about it because it's about the length of a Super Beetle, of a mid-70s Super Beetle. So that tells you the size of it.
Phyllis says, I'd rather get a nice Pinswager K-Series.
Okay. How much money do those go for?
I hope that I said that correctly. And Jay wants to know stories about the cars that you're showing.
Stories. This 81 Impala here was the first car I bought when I came to Mexico in 1999. Unfortunately, the A-pillars are rusting. Everything's rusting on it. I'm going to have it fixed. You know, a rusting car does not mean it's going to go away. 305 automatic. Just just as solid as can be. We all know about small block Chevys, but here it is sitting here. It was dark red before, and the that's white primer on there, which is the same thing that I have on my '63 Plymouth here that you're sitting on. But I put clear over the Plymouth. So my Buick Wildcat, really not a convertible over there. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Really don't. In a little bit, I'll take the camera around and show you the other cars. Well, the other car.
Jay says your rust and my rust is not the same.
No, but we're near the beach here, so there's salt in the air. So when I'll show you the rust on my '69 Chevy wagon, it's rusting from the inside out. Which again, I don't care. The car's coming apart, and when I have a shop, and we're gonna redo the whole thing and make it really nice because it is a Kingswood wagon, and all wagons should be saved.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's about the same price, Felix, as the Ormigas here, with transport and everything, getting them to the border. There's some people asking $15,000, $16,000 just for the truck, and then with the travel and everything, it's just not worth. It just doesn't pay. So I have to go with the cheaper ones. Cheaper, like, I don't know, 14,000.
Uh, Chris says I literally
Not
have
14.
piles of rust in my driveway from my old daily driver just sitting there.
I would not want to live in a place like that. The cars are too important. Definitely not.
Sometimes you don't have a choice.
No. I mean, the dart is rusting,
Yeah.
around the windows and the quarter panels. Doesn't stop me from enjoying driving the car if he would start, which he won't.
Fat dart. Fat.
Yeah, he's in timeout. He's been in timeout for over a year now.
Dean says 1981 Mustang hatch 3.3 liter B code C3 automatic 6.7 Sterling. There's a lot of words that I don't get. Okay, well, I'll just say all of it. Sterling axle, light group, heavy duty alternator, PS AC, 2.73 gears, Buffalo Campo. From your last question on, I don't know. I'm so sorry. He
The
was talking
CB, the
to.
Citizens Band radio. It was left-hand drive and JDM. But who wants a Mustang with a 3.3?
I don't know. Is it a 3 on the 3?
No, 3.3 is an inline six-cylinder engine
So it's not a 3
in a
on the 3?
Mustang. We didn't have those here. Everything was V8 power.
Okay.
Yeah, J is really close to the Canada border, the Canadistan border.
Dean says I shouldn't read what he says. Save yourself. Yeah, Dean, but it moves, so I have to read it. I'm a cat. It just shows up there. I have to read it. And Jay says I'm doing an amazing job of reading the technical stuff. I don't know about that, but okay. I just sometimes think that you guys are making words up. ¿Qué es un árbol de ¿cómo se llama? Árbol de lebras?
Levas.
Levas.
Yeah.
¿Qué es un árbol de levas?
It's a camshaft.
I don't. You're making words up.
There's a word for a crankshaft in Spanish, and I can't say it because it has these weird to it. It has the U with the dots over it and all that stuff. I can't say it.
With the U with the dots on it is just a U.
It's ciguinal, something like that.
Cegüeñal?
Yeah, it's really weird how they spell it with all these things above the letters.
I think it's cegüeñal. I think I've seen it somewhere in a shop.
Yeah, that's a crankshaft. So
You. No, not that you. Let me hold on. Um, this you.
The
Yes, Mike
singer.
got it. Hold on, I'm talking to Dean. No legit words. No, it's legit words. It's like, I guess they're legit words, but I still don't get them. So did you ever get rid of that tree that was always making your life miserable?
Who's asking that?
Chris. Chris, he wants to know
Oh,
about the tree.
the tree that keeps dropping leaves. No, you see it right there, Dean. Chris,
That's
sorry.
the one
You see it
front
right
on
there that you're
center.
looking at.
It's the one.
We had to take out the dead grapefruit tree that was here because it was just getting too dangerous. Now the cats have to find another way up onto the roof.
Phyllis says you can't say the word because they'll demonetize you.
No, it's how I pronounce. You know, in Spanish you pronounce each letter in the word, and when it has all those fancy symbols above, I don't know what sound it's supposed to come out. It's supposed to change the sound of the letter. So I don't know. I'll just say crankshaft and be done with it.
Chris says no, sorry. Jay says omelets, and Mike says omelet, and I'm not sure what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Okay.
That's what that U is called.
Okay.
Officially.
Officially.
Yeah. It was not an emoji, no.
No, it's not an emoji. Um, so Jay says, Buff, I saved a 1964 Volvo PB544 west of Cleveland. And Driveway says, you, Yumlat, is a German thing. Yeah, we do have, in Spanish, we do have some of our like language is from, um, well, from Europe, basically, from Spain and Germany and stuff like that. Just Spanish from Latin and stuff like that. Um, that's the one I try to identify. Yeah, that's the tree in the center that you're trying to identify. I still have no idea what it's called. But yeah, that's the one.
I don't care what its name is. It's a dick. It drops its leaves when it's supposed to be in springtime, when it's supposed to be renewing. It doesn't follow the seasons. We had a lot of wind yesterday, so the neighbors' leaves came down in my yard, so now I have to clean up their leaves too.
Dean says, so how will you peel me a grape if the grape tree is gone? It's not grape.
It was grapefruit, and grapes don't grow on trees. They grow on vines.
A grapefruit tree. Vintage and Adventure Drives is here.
Hey man, how's it going? You caught a live.
He says, hey Mexican Spec, all is well. I drop in while at work to say hi.
Does that look familiar? I have one too.
What are you showing off?
But mine isn't a Scamp. Mine is a Chrysler Dart with the rear end is Plymouth and the front end is Dodge. Just the way it came out of the factory.
Dean says, TUB, oh, hold on. TUB, Germany's roadworthy controlling legal body. I don't know what it means. Jay says, the language is when the Germans moved to Mexico after World War II. I don't think so. We had the language right before that.
Jay, we don't live in Argentina. We live in Mexico. They didn't come here.
Not really, no.
No.
Chris says, I think I identified it as some sort of ash tree. Do I have an ash tree in front of my house? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Are ash trees dicks? That's what I want to know.
Glenn Nickerson is here.
Hi, Glenn. How are you doing?
It says, those walls will be a perfect backdrop for some nice car murals.
I don't own this house, so I can't do that. I'm renting this house. And I'm not an artist. I'd rather have the car.
Dean says, I won't ask why it's called a grapefruit tree, but it sure sounds logical. That's what it is, a grapefruit. You don't know what a grapefruit is?
Sure, he knows what a
It's
grapefruit is, even though he lives in New York.
it's kind of like it's from the citrus family. It's like a big ass orange, but
I
like
think he's
really
saying they
sour.
call it a grapefruit when the grape is a fruit. It's confusing.
I guess I don't know why they call it grapefruit. In Spanish, it's toronja, so it has its own name.
Yes, and we all know what grape is in Spanish. Tony told about all of us. Uva,
Yeah.
uva.
Phyllis says, "Love that concave rear glass."
hmm It's the same as the U.S. car on the sedan. This is a 4 door. The 2 door had the longer runners, the coupe. I had one of those, but it was so rusted out. There was nothing I could do with it. It wasn't worth it to put a new roof on it, put all new body panels on it, and everything. It had a good running slant six in it, so I sold it to a guy to part it out or whatever. But the roof just had so many holes in it, and I really want to find the guy that sold it to me. He says, "I guarantee the roof is fine." Yeah, I want to cash in on a guarantee.
What is that? The red tricycle, the famous red tricycle called? The brand of the red tricycle for kids.
I don't know.
It's called Red something. I don't remember. Yeah, but
The
Jet.
radio flyer was a
Yeah,
wagon.
Radio Flyer.
That was a wagon.
A wagon.
Yeah.
It was a tricycle with a Lego wagon.
No, it was a wagon that you pull behind.
I thought it was a tricycle.
The radio flyer was a wagon.
Well, I drive a Radio Flyer. That's what I drive. Jay wants to know what I do when I drive.
I pulled the black '83 Spirit out to fix it so she could start driving, but after all the work I did, and I even paid the registration current for this year, then it starts shooting out water from the freeze plugs behind the engine. So now we have to pull the engine out to put all new freeze plugs in the car. And it's not because it froze here. There's no freezing here. It's not one thing, it's another with these old cars.
Phyllis says it's almost stupidly simple, but it's a dramatic effect. The concave.
Yeah.
The concave.
I got to get the tint off the back window of that car. Fine here.
Yeah.
I have to get the tint off the back window of the Dart. I just haven't gotten into the back seat to do that. Whenever you buy a car like this, you have to undo what everybody else did. Right, Gray?
Yes. Jose Gabriel says, I like a Mexican 1973 Ford Mustang Mach.
I have one coming up that I'm going to post. It's a really, really pretty blue car. Really pretty. Stick shift, of course. Really nice inside, outside, everything. I was never a fan of those cars because you cannot see out the back window. The rear window is almost parallel to the ground. So you may have an inch between the top and the bottom that you can see out of. It's really bad. And you're sitting in a hole on top of it because it's really low bucket seats.
Vintage says, I sure like the Dart. I prefer the Plymouth nose, but I might be buying the girlfriend a 73 Dart.
Yeah. 73 has the same nose as mine, the 74. 75 has longer turn signals than 76. At least in Mexico, they put the Plymouth front end back on the Dart with the Plymouth rear end. So every year they change things around for some reason. I don't know why.
Dean says, I won't be using the Citron emoji. You can try all you like.
There's a Citroen emoji?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask what it looks like. That will violate the no emoji rule today.
Okay. Phyllis says, mankind's greatest success with radiation in food, the ruby red grapefruit.
Yeah. Grapefruit isn't supposed to be that color?
Ruby red?
I wouldn't know. I don't eat fruit.
It's pink. Well, pink or light yellow.
So the ruby red is a different strain of grapefruit?
I guess. I've never seen it.
How about seedless watermelon? That's a dead end street. It can't reproduce.
Yeah. Glenn Nickerson says, any trips to the US in the future?
Not to the U.S. When I have a vehicle, I go to the border. I don't go into the U.S. anymore. Have no desire to.
But Jay says that you're taking me to the Niagara Falls for a second honeymoon.
That's a lot of water.
That's dangerous too. I'm too clumsy. Jay says I had a radio flyer that my grandparents bought me for my third birthday. I thought it was a tricycle.
I don't know the make of a tricycle.
I
The radio
remember.
flyer is a wagon.
Well, I don't know. It's American stuff, so I don't
Hmm.
know. So Jay says that we were going to the Niagara Falls, and Chris says, "Oh, so you're gonna have at least one tourist this year." True.
One.
Yeah.
How come nobody's asked me why I have so many taillights and stuff on the trunk of my Impala?
Do you want me to ask you? Jay says, "Wait." Good Santa. Jay says, "Chris, it's the only time I ever go to Niagara Falls."
With a family member or something that's never seen it?
Probably.
I used to live near an amusement park, Six Flags Magic Mountain, which of course we all saw in the movie National Lampoon's. And I probably went there. It's not like something that it was probably an hour to get there, but I never went unless it was like take a kid there or something. But it was very rare. It's like if it's like more exciting if you have to travel somewhere a long distance to get to somewhere, then you really enjoy it. Then you really appreciate it. But living close to the place, no, not very much.
I guess. Like going to El Puerto.
Yeah.
Um, Glenn says if you go to Niagara Falls, the Canadian side is the best.
Those are fighting words for Chris, right, Chris?
Mike says lots of engine bay space in those 73 Mustangs though.
Yeah. Well, the car here had a 351 Windsor with a 4-speed in it, so it was enough. I don't really think you need a big block in that car. Makes it really nose heavy.
Dean says a lemon to the emoji of the citron.
Mm.
And Chris says there's no emoji rule today, only for Dean. He decided not to use. Well, no, he didn't decide it. He cannot use emojis today.
Somebody came up with a rule.
Somebody did. Phyllis says, yeah, the great circular gardens around deep shafts, and once a day a radiation source was lifted up and bathed the food in particles for a time. The only thing that didn't fail was the red color. Mm,
Isn't that nice? They're making food with radiation, and then people are eating it.
I wouldn't eat it.
Did the world really need a dark red grapefruit?
Isn't there a red orange? Like a blood red orange or something like that? Or like a not a non orange but like a citrus family red, blood red.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, a cat walking through. Where's Joy? They said there's a cat walking through.
Not my cat.
Yeah,
Joey's underneath the Impala.
probably walking around.
No,
They can see underneath.
he hasn't moved.
They can see underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Joey's just chilling there.
Chris says lots of companies made little red tricycles, Huffy, AMF, etc.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just saw him on the old movies and cartoons, so I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Dean says if you put potassium permanganate or Condy's crystals into a food, everything becomes red. Well, yeah, if you put red dye on stuff, it become red. Yeah. Phyllis says for those who haven't seen them yet, search Ready Flyer car to see how people make automobile replicas of their favorite childhood toy.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Some people have way too much time on their hands.
Vintage says I didn't know it was an Impala.
Yes, it is, but I changed the tail lights. because I like the 86 to 89, 86 to 90 taillights better. The taillights are inside in the trunk
Oh yeah, and Clint just asked, how come there are no taillights in the Impala?
because I stripped it down to paint it to put the primer on it, which was 12 years ago when I painted this 63 Plymouth.
I don't know. I like Dean's answer better.
What?
He says he's answering to that question. He says it's a special see-through tail lamp option.
Double taillights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris says, why are those fighting words? We love our friends in the Great White North. Why is it Great White North? Oh, yeah, Canada. Yeah, because it's not.
Canadistan. Well, Chris is on the U.S. side, so that's competition. He's got to defend the U.S. side.
Jay says, because we are close to Niagara Falls, it isn't a big deal. Yes, Canada's side of Falls is nicer, but Bridal Falls and the New York State Park is a must see.
Hey, Joey, what's up?
And Jay
Nothing.
says, blood orange. Yeah, see, there's an orange there. It's called blood orange.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it on commercials. Oh, on the beginning of Dexter. That's what he's eating. That's where I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember he's like getting all of this food prepared and it kinda looks like a murder or something. Because he like
I don't remember the beginning of Dexter.
this is the
It's
beginning of
been a
Dexter.
long time since I've seen that.
No meow on the microphone.
Well, he's meowing. I can meow.
Yeah, but not on the microphone. Did you say Dexter? Yeah, Dexter, the TV show. Remember the intro, the where he's cooking his breakfast or whatever, and everything looks like weirdly killer um, accented, and he's like making juice with a blood red orange. Um, Glenn says, or Spec is making the craziest looking exhaust system. Are you making the exhaust system?
Should I have the exhaust come out those holes, and then put the tail, put a El Camino bumper on it so I could have tail lights in the bumper? Should I do that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the 305 V8 puts out enough exhaust to do that though. Nothing would be coming out.
Jay says that's how the DC sniper shot through the tail light in the Impala.
He was laying down in the trunk. Not very comfortable, I can tell you. When I worked at the Chevy dealer in '87, every Caprice that we had on the lot, even the yellow station wagon we had, was a demo for the managers because they was just the best driving car on the lot. Somebody came in, hey, I want a Caprice. Every one of them had miles on them, and when those ran out, people were driving the Monte Carlos because it's basically a two-door Caprice.
Jay says my Lambo is going to have exhaust there.
Where the taillight should be.
I guess.
That's inventive. Where are you going to put the taillights?
On the roof.
No, that's too high. Can't have them too high or too low.
No me muera. Dean says, I like Dexter's Lab, a Nickelodeon cartoon series. Oh, I like that one too. Being an ex-laboratory technician, it's better than reminding me that I look like Dexter from the TV series. Do you look like Dexter from the TV series?
There is a video on Dean's channel of him dancing. I can show you his video. You can see what he looks like.
Okay.
But then you cannot unsee. That's the problem.
That's the kind of is that kind of video?
That's the problem. Yes.
Wait, if it's on YouTube, it's not demonetized.
No, it's not. It's not nasty or anything. It's just Dean dancing and singing.
Vintage says if you fill the exhaust with oil, it will smoke and cool coming out of the tail light holes.
Yeah, but if your engine is bad, you don't have to worry about doing that. The car does it itself.
Yep. Yep.
Saves your money.
Jay says tail lights on the sides, exhaust through the back of the center of the car.
I got to get over this cough.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like letting you on air buses when you're coughing. You know, there's a reason for that. I can't remember what it was.
Jose Gabriel also watched Dexter Laboratory when he was a kid. Yeah. Oh, it's buffering. Is it buffering? Is it buffering?
No, no buffering. Why do we only have 9 likes? I'm not going to be like Tony. Nobody likes me. There's only 9 likes.
Mango. Did you saw some mango by my window?
Yes, I saw that. Cleaning day is tomorrow. I'm not cleaning the backyard today. I'm giving it a chance to rain and be stormy tomorrow so I don't have to clean tomorrow. I'm crossing my fingers.
Dean says, hey, if it's okay for Kim. I thought, hey, what the heck? I guess for the dancing. Sorry for the trauma. I'm hoping I can find a Men in Black memory remover.
That'll remove too many other things, though.
Glenn says, my 78 Caprice was the last Chevy I ever owned and the worst. When it rained, I had a bucket under the dashboard on the passenger side to catch the rain and a bad cam at 70K.
You got one of the bad ones. I just expect cars to leak when it rains. So on this dart here, this green dart, when it rains, the glove box fills up with water. I don't know how that happens, but it does. So I don't keep papers in there or anything. Luckily, it doesn't rain very much here.
It should
It should what?
rain a lot.
It should, yes, because we're close to the water, but it doesn't. It doesn't get here.
We don't get a lot of storms because Baja California stops big storms from coming in.
Right, that's from the
Yeah.
ocean. We're close to the channel
Yeah.
between the two land masses.
Jose Gabriel says Mexican specs are very popular. Do you mean is very popular or are very popular? Are you talking about the car or the person? Because everyone was giving you likes. So I'm not sure if he's talking about that or. Vintage says my 72 Impala is the only Chevrolet I'll ever own. It's ruined me on the small block Chevy and the Chevrolet suspension. And Chris says, and my 68 Beetle is still watertight. Alte durch Auto sin Stol. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I'm not learning.
You better not. You better not learn German.
I was learning Russian for a while because I was good at pronunciation, and then they tried to teach me the words, and I was like, yeah, I don't know those like the letters. By itself.
You have to learn
like,
a whole new
yeah.
alphabet.
Yeah, I was like, nah, sorry, no.
Buff speaks Russian.
Yeah, Jay and Chris, I think.
Jay said he studied German.
German. Oh, Russian, you mean? Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, Russian.
Jose was talking about the cars. Yeah, they are very popular. The Mexican spec cars.
Mm-hmm.
Driveway of Misfits. All German cars are great.
What?
And that is full everything. Like I'm yelling.
That is not true at all. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Philip says a common cause of the rusted out passenger footwells in the AC is the AC condenser. If the drain line isn't routed and sealed properly, it'll drain back through the firewall and pull in the passenger side carpet. I know that for sure. Dano F. Smith is here.
Dano.
Dano.
Hello.
Sorry. It says, do you ever come across those 19s Dodge 6500 medium duty trucks in your travels down to Mexico?
Are you talking about the 94 and up, the new body style? Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen dump trucks. I've seen all kinds of different trucks. I had a guy that asked me about it, but I don't know how I would get it to the border. It's not exactly a good highway traveler, and transport is out because it's a dually. It wouldn't fit on their transport trucks. So I'm not sure. It is possible though, I guess. I'll just have to go slow, drive behind all the big rigs on the highway. I've seen some really nice ones. I don't know anything about the bigger trucks though. So as far as hydraulic systems and all of that, Ruski. Yeah,
Brusky, yeah.
he speaks English. He speaks Russian.
I was trying to learn it.
I couldn't pick anything up when I watched the Russian TV show.
Only a handful
The
of
the
words.
sniffer, I think it was called or
Yeah, I
something.
think so. Because
I couldn't pick up anything. Nothing.
Chris says my father studied Russian in college. Class started off with 60 students and ended with six left. Yep.
That's a big cut rate. 90% gone.
Glenn says Montreal is a great place and very clean. The metro is the best. Hope she has a good time. Want to go to the winter carnival someday, only 300 miles away. I'm not sure what they're talking about.
Talking about you visiting.
Maybe. He was talking to Chris.
Oh, oh.
Vintage says my satellite with all its holes is the only car I have that doesn't leak.
As long as you don't drive through a water puddle,
Yeah.
so water comes up from underneath.
Jay says Lillian is a Russian instructor at the U.S. Military Academy.
Yep, she's in his lives.
Hmm.
Yeah, I found that when I was younger, I had to have the car perfect, and I stressed that it needs this, it needs that. But I learned over time that I just don't care anymore. The Dart here has rusted out quarters. You can see some of the rust here in the back window. I just don't care anymore. I just drive it. That's all I care about. Turn signals work, brake lights work, power steering works in this one. So if he would start, I would be driving him.
So,
But he doesn't want to start.
uh, are those trucks hydraulic brakes or air brakes?
I honestly don't know. I have no experience with them whatsoever.
Chris says she goes up to Canada maybe 3 times a year to referee amateur women's sports. Always has a good time up there.
Hmm.
Jose says my favorite Mexican actor is Mario Almada. I'm so behind on Mexican actors right now. I'm so sorry. Like I haven't seen anything TV related really for a while.
I'm gonna sit down. Oh, my back hurts.
Dino says I'm a Canadian who travels down to Texas/Mexico border every winter in my uh, 2001 Mexican Spec Dodge Ram Charger.
Ram Charger. Which model did you get? The base, the SLT, or the SLT Plus? The SLT Plus has the leather with the cloth interior.
Glenn says can't go wrong with a Crown Vic/Grand Marquis. Best car built in the last 25 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely, but people don't want to put gas in them anymore.
Vintage says, sorry, back to work. Good night, you guys. Oh, he's leaving. Bye, Vintage.
Bye. Thank you for coming. I mean, being here.
Dana says, I bought it off Mr. Lake, Mr. Jake. Mr. Jake Fast in Leamington, Ontario. I'm in, I can't say that word.
Saskatchewan.
Thank you. Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Saskatchewan. Dean says, why are you guys using so many weird words? Dean says, for Yankee, Bob, I'm not allowed to use a socks emoji today out of respect. Okay. Dana says base model 5.2 liters. The RAM charger.
Mm-hmm. With the cloth interior. I have a buyer right now if I can find an SLT Plus with the leather, with the leather and the cloth, but it has to have the third seat in the back, the sideways facing third seat, and it has to be in decent condition. And I had one on the hook for him, but then I had to go to the border and deliver another car. By the time I got back, that one was sold, and I haven't been able to find another one
Yeah.
with the third seat. He'll even take it if it has the cloth seating, but it has to have the third back seat, the third seat, and haven't been able to find one.
Jose Gabriel says, "You guys are my favorite YouTuber." Well, you obviously don't follow a lot of people, but thank you so much.
Thank you. We do our best. We have the shorts that I put up, cars for sale, and then the more cars that we're selling and driving and everything else, the more of that we're going to be showing. I wonder where Junior Spec is. I told him we were going to be on live,
Yeah,
and he's not here.
that Junior Spec.
Yep.
Dana says, "I didn't want the extra backseat, and as I road trip all the time, I wanted the 5.2 liter, so it was easier to find parts while road tripping."
Why is it not easy to find parts for the 5.9? I have that engine in my Durango. Never had a problem. Of course, it hasn't really failed. We did last year. We did take the engine out and reseal it with new plugs and cleaned out the engine and everything else. So it's got 100 and it's almost got 120,000 kilometers on it right now, and it's 20. It's coming up on 26 years old. So.
And Dana says, "I fall down the middle seats and thus in a double mattress in the back seat, save on hotels."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It took a while for us to learn how to put the back seats down because when I sold the green Ram Charger that's on my channel, he bought 3 dashboards because they make fiberglass dashboards here for those trucks.
Yeah.
He bought 3 dashboards for those. He bought 3 dashboards for the newer model, and then 3 other parts because the next model comes in 2 different parts. So he bought 9 different dashboard parts, and we had to put them all in the back of the Ram Charger. So we had to figure out how to put those seats down, and that was not easy. I had to go look at a YouTube video because it's not common sense. There's a hidden thing that you have to pull this to lay this down and then flip this up. So yeah, it's when you have these vehicles that were created and then they made parts for that and it doesn't relate to any other vehicle on the market, you don't know how to deal with the stuff. So I learned.
Dana says, "It's a bit harder to find stuff for the 5.9 and the 318 CI Mopar made forever and put in everything."
Yeah, it sure was. My Dart here has a 318 in it, but it's not a Magnum, of course. The engine that's in this Dart is from a 90 Ram Charger and transmission. The engine from this Dart is over there by the wall, and I want to rebuild it and put it in the 63 Plymouth that we're sitting next to. So it's a V8 automatic car. I even bought a steering column for it to get rid of the 3 on the tree. I just don't know how I'm going to do that after the accident. It's just been sitting here. It's going to need some serious work to pull that front end back over to the left before I can. I mean, I can drive it right now, but I got to figure out what to do with that front turn signal because it went flying off in the accident.
Jose Gabriel says, "The Mexican classic car that I like was the 1981 Ford Crown Victoria."
Yep, very nice car. But the Fairmont is a little bit smaller package but still, I mean, it's not as luxurious, but it still has the 302, the automatic, or even comes in a stick shift. So the Fairmont that I delivered to Lester LeSabre, who's in here, um, that was such a joy to drive on the highway.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. They were economy cars in the U.S. because of the gas shortage and everything. So they came with 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders mostly, and people ordered the V8, but then you had the 255 V8 and not the 302. So it was a crap engine, and then the Fairmont in the U.S. does not have a following or or the reputation that the Crown Victoria has. But in Mexico, it was all V8 until '83 when they decided to put some V6s in some of them. I don't know why they did that.
Dano says, sorry, about the fact that you put a bunch of cars in the back of the Ram. It says, I have seven second generation, and I have a garage full of dashboards and interior plastics.
Yeah, that's the first question I ask when I see a Ram Charger for sale. The dashboard.
Yeah.
I just want to figure in the new dash and everything when I give the price, because it doesn't take very much time to put it in, and the mechanic here isn't going to charge very much to take the old one out, put the new one in, and then I can deliver it with the really nice dash. There's no reason to deliver it with the cracked plastic dash. There isn't. When they deliver the dashes to my house.
Dano says, yeah, the Dart is sweet. I rather have a simple auto over 3 on the 3.
Well, this is a very rare Dart that I have here because it has a factory 318 in it. Almost no darts were sold in Mexico up to 76 with the V8. You could buy the Super B that had the V8 in it, the 318. In 75, they went to the 360, but very few were put in these regular darts. And this car was sold new in this town with the V8, with the automatic. I'm not sure if it had the underdash air conditioning from the dealer, but the paperwork that I have on it, I don't have the original invoice. I have the car. I think was resold back to the dealer in when the car was 1 year old, and then I have the invoice from that sale, but it doesn't have all of the descriptions of what color it was, because I don't know what color this car was when it was new. It's been so many different colors. It's been a brown, it's been a green, it's been this aqua color, and probably a few others. So I don't know what it actually was when it came out of the factory.
Chris wants to know how much the new dashboards cost down here.
They're somewhere around 3,000, 3,500 pesos. Plus the shipping. They have to get it to you. So maybe $200, something like that each.
Glenn says, my buddy who has a Ford mechanic always said Ford didn't make a good V6 until the 3.0 liters, 3.0 liter.
Yeah.
Patrick Sullivan is here.
Hi, Patrick. Thank you for joining us. I had a US Spec 1983 Mercury Capri sitting here, the bubble back. Had a 3.8 liter V6 in it. We went through it, got it running well, and driving it for a while. And Mrs. Spec drove it once. And
I drove it a couple of times.
You didn't really want to drive
the brown one?
The brown one.
I drove it a couple of times. I used to take it to my house.
That's not the point of the story. So I let it sit here for 6 months without doing anything to it, and it wouldn't run anymore. We had to get back into the engine and take the heads off and fix some stuff in there just from it sitting here for 6 months. I'm not a fan of the 3.8 liter V6, and I really wonder how long the Super Coupes, the Thunderbird Super Coupes, actually lasted with the supercharger on that engine.
Dean says the Vulcan V6 was almost as reliable as the Ford EFI 5.0 302.
I bought a new 97 Taurus wagon, dark red, with a 3 liter Vulcan engine in it. I should have walked around the lot and bought the 4.0 because it was a much better engine, much more power, but I didn't know that engine was available or I would have done it. But I really like that car. And then we traded it in for a 98 Explorer Limited. And the Explorer had less room in the back seat for my legs than the Taurus wagon did. So it was, you be nice, Vanessa.
Chris says, doesn't the Dart have a fender plate with the original paint code on it?
It has the codes, but we don't know what the codes mean here. There's no place that decodes the Mexican codes, and they're not the same as the U.S.
No. Dean says, and it was the 4-speed 90 degrees SX V6.
Yep.
Again, I think you're making words up.
But Dean, I also had a Pinto, a 76 Pinto with the 2.8 V6, and it never gave me any trouble at all. It just kept going and going and going. You put the key in, you turn the key, you go. Never gave me a hassle. Too bad they didn't come in V6 in stick shifts though with the V6. The Pintos. That would have been a really nice car.
Glenn says, my dad's 3.8 liter Cougar was so noisy that every time I did an oil change, I had to put almost 2 bottles of STP to quiet it down.
Yep. Yep. I don't know how they made the supercharged cars last, because it's that same engine. It's a 3.8, but I don't know. I heard they had problems, or whatever. But the Pinto V6 was pretty decent. Not a lot of room to work on it though.
You've been like for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me take the camera and show you the couple of other cars.
Don't show me.
Don't show me either.
Well, you're holding the camera.
Well, move out of the way.
I'm
going to start with this one.
But
the 1963 Plymouth Savoy Mexican Spec. This is the bottom of the line car, but because they needed people to buy it, they put the Fury trim on it, the Fury trim down the side. And this is the one that I got in an accident with. The guy hit me, cartel guys. So the guy never paid anything. If I had all of his information, we would be able to do something. But are you reading the comments?
he's probably not even alive anymore. His Dean says the supercharged S6 was totally reworked in the T-Bird Supercube. They had problems only when 5-speed Mazda gearbox. The 4-bearing crank could wear thrust bearings. Whole block was heavier.
This is my baby over here, my 63 Fury. She's sleeping and very camera shy, so nobody gets to see her.
Then why did you show her?
I really love those wheels. The Magna 500s on these darts. Are you gonna read the comments? You have to follow me.
Yeah. Lester says I had a T-Bird with the 3.8, lots of noise and no power.
Well, you could get the base.
You don't have to yell. The microphone's right here.
Oh, you could get the 3.8 liter V6 in the base model Thunderbirds here with a 5-speed manual transmission. So that helped a little. This is my 69 Kingswood wagon. What do you want?
He's supervising.
Yeah, well, the car is just sitting and waiting. It's been through some stuff. This is a California car. I have the original California pink slip, a real pink slip, the small one, not the title that California cars have now.
Tavo's here.
Hey, Tavo. Thank you for being here. You see all the rust coming out from the inside?
Chris says, the cat's like, no, what do you want?
Well, he never does anything for me, so
Yeah, but you're in his house.
he doesn't. No, this is not his house. This is Vanessa's house. He's visiting out here. Can you see the rust in the tailgate there? All the way across. Yeah, the more it sits here, the more it gets rusted. This is also a 305. Somehow a 305 got in here, but I put a 4-barrel on it. And this one just always starts, Vanessa. Right there. Vanessa.
Chris says that rust is unfortunate.
Yeah, there's a tailgate. God, I forgot where it was. It's at a junkyard somewhere. I just need to have it shipped here. But yeah, this thing always starts. Right now, I'm having a little problem that it'll crank over, but it won't start unless I let off the key. So, got to fix that. This side is worse on the rust, rusting from the inside out, all the way down, all the way roof. But all it takes is a body guy. Have a few refrigerators around. Put the metal on. See? I need a hood for this one too. And the A-pillar. But it's all doable. The car runs so well. Sitting here for 12 years, I bet I could just put a battery in it, hook up a gas line, and it'll fire right up.
Chris says, some spackle and paint make the body guy I ain't.
This is my dirty 318. Here's the codes right here. Can you see them? None of them make any sense to me. But you can see gold. You can see green. They painted the black on top of that.
The camera's blurring.
Some of them are gold. It's not focusing. I see it focused on the screen.
Okay.
There's gold there. There's gold in their hills. Air conditioning. I got to get a real air cleaner for it. But it's been sitting here for over a year because he doesn't want to start with the ignition. The ignition key doesn't want to start. And then I'm messing around with the alternator here with my custom bracket. All of this stuff here. So I'm not sure what color I want on this car. Maybe the blue that's on like a 68 Coronet or something. But what?
I don't want to be in front of the camera.
So these are all the cars that I have sitting here.
Chris says maybe send that body tag to Tom at Rocket Restorations. He might have some info on Mexican tags.
I seriously doubt it because there's no information anywhere. The U.S. books do not mean anything for the cars here, and they did that on purpose.
There's a person called One.
Huh?
Number 1.
Okay, 1.
It says, does your phone run on call? Is it a landline? Because it's it was
not focusing.
It was pixelating. Yeah, it was not focusing.
Oh. Well, I guess I'm moving it around too much. Should not be moving it around that much. So my 65 Buick Wildcat. It is a Wildcat.
Jay says, I may have my Rambler American sold. Guy wants to turn it into a studio prop.
Good. That way it doesn't have to run. Or else swap it. Did I just say that?
It could be red.
It could be red, yes. Yes, it could be red. This Buick here came into Mexico with a roof. It was a fastback, and it was a goldish greenish color. My '68 Buick LeSabre 400 that I bought for my 17th birthday was that same goldish greenish color, and I wish they would have left it the way it was instead of cutting the roof off of it.
My thing closed. Hold on.
I wish they would have. They did have a convertible top in it. They built the structure. They had the convertible top. It went up and down. So they made it into a convertible. I just have to get it all cleaned out. But this is where Joey sleeps. He likes it in here. I got to get this. I try to keep the cars clean, but last night or the night before, it rained just enough to make everything dirty. What are you going to do, Joey? Nothing, as usual. Are we going back over here?
I guess.
Nobody's asked me anything about Mexican cars or the process.
Number one is asking me if I'm the VP.
You're the secretary.
¡Qué malo eres!
Secretary of State.
Jay wants to know if the cat is bilingual.
I yell at him in English, so I'm not sure.
I yell in Spanish.
Then I guess he is. I guess so. He doesn't respond either way. He knows his name though. When I call his name, Joey, vente.
But he knows don't go in the kitchen.
Yep. And the dogs know not to come in the house even if the door's open. Absolutely. Because they are not the alphas.
Bob Del Campo wants to know what's different about the Mexican Spec 63 Plymouth.
Okay. The biggest thing that I just showed you is that it's a Savoy base model with Fury trim on it. They did that because the Ford in 1963 was sold with a V8, and this only had a slant six, so they had to dress it up to make it more appealing to somebody to buy the car. The rear drums, Buff, come off from the axle.
You don't have to yell. Come over here.
I'm yelling at you. The rear drums are like I have the US spec over there and the Mexican spec here. I can compare them directly. And the rear drums come off from the axle instead of having to take the nut off and pull the whole thing off. So I don't know why the US wasn't able to do that. I really don't. And Tony was saying maybe it's an AMC axle on here. I'm like, no, this is the axle that came on it. Although it does say right-hand thread. There's no left-hand threads on this car either. They're right-hand threads on the left side. So there are a few differences. And of course the speedometer in kilometers, which even Canada didn't have in 1963.
Glenn says, I wash all my cars in the rain, soak them up, and let nature do the rest. The neighbors look at me kind of funny when I do it.
That's what I wanted to do. It was supposed to rain yesterday. It was supposed to rain today. And it dissipated, so we didn't get any rain. I put all those taillights out there on the trunk, hoping it was going to rain because I don't want to wash them individually. Those have been sitting in the dog's room for many years now because it's stuff I just haven't been able to sell. So it's all, there's dust and spider webs and all kinds of stuff. So everything needs to be cleaned over there. That's my workbench over there. Flat trunk.
One says, I really like the make and model mix-ups and batch engineered mix only cars, like the caps with Sunbird fire pop-ups and those weird combos.
Yep.
Do you have styled cars, lowriders, drifters, stands, drag?
There are people here that have drag cars, but the car culture is not the same as it is in the U.S. You know, it may seem ironic, but people don't do lowriders here. It's very rare to see a lowrider here. That is a Southern California type thing.
Yeah,
It,
it's
it
for the
started there,
Mexicanos.
and it's not a Mexico thing. It's a Mexican thing, but it's not a Mexico thing. And drifters, I don't know. I have never seen it in Mexico. I've
The
never
only
seen a
ones,
drift race or
the
anything.
only ones that I've seen on this area are the off-roaders, the ones with the big ass
Oh
wheels.
yeah, the 4x4s and all that, because there's desert all around, and then you have the beach, and then they drive on the beach, and they're not supposed to, but they do. And yeah, the off road here is really big. Off road stuff is really big here.
Yeah. Number one says Canada didn't do metric until 1976.
Yeah, I guess it's always been metric in Mexico because I've seen cars from the 30s, 40s, and 50s with the kilometers on the dash. Very interesting because I have my US spec car over there, and she has her miles on the speedometer, and then I have this guy here, and he has kilometers, and the numbers go up way higher. Not that anything works on the dash, but still.
Number one says FYI, super clean small pickups would sell like hot tamales to Canadians right now. Ay, quiero un tamal. Se me antojó.
You're making her hungry. Um, one of my plans is if I can sell enough cars to get enough money together to open up a shop. In the early 2000s, the border was open for any open bed pickup to come into Mexico because there was a lack of trucks here. They didn't sell a lot through the Mexican dealership, so there wasn't a lot on the used car market. So Mexico opened the border, allowing just about any. They didn't allow the huge trucks in, but the open bed pickups. So mini trucks came in. I mean, every truck came in, but mini trucks came in by the truckloads. You got the Toyotas and the Nissans and the Mazdas and everything. So I want to restore them. I mean, every nut and bolt, like make it a brand new truck, and then send it to the U.S. for sale. For it's going to be a fairly high price, not because of the restoration costs or anything, but because it's going to be a brand new mini truck, which is the truck that everybody wants. The slate truck, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but they said it's going to be 27,000, and then you get the $7,500 credit from the government. If that's not a thing, then your base price is 27,500 on that truck, and then you have to add in options. Move your arm. You got a mosquito there. You got you have to add in options because nobody is going to want just a base truck. Nobody. Everybody's too spoiled on have to have this and that, and so I just don't see it happening on new vehicle anyway. But I think it would be a pretty good business restoring the mini trucks that are here and sending them back home.
Tabo says our measurements went metric in 1973. Car nuts and bolts went metric in the 80s. Um,
Oh, you guys are part of England, right? Are they still using miles per hour in England? Because it was weird that on Top Gear, Clarkson was always saying, "Oh, I'm driving 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour in England," and I think the street signs were also in miles per hour. It's weird, the kind of the mix of Europe, but using the miles per hour.
Another one says, you know, the little salsa red Volkswagen Golf or Golf pickups, or the guacamole green Fiesta 4 pickups, or those tortilla beige Chevy. Why are you doing this to
He's
me?
doing that on purpose.
I just got up. I'm gonna start salivating. Not fair. No, you're so rude.
But we can go right over here and buy tamales,
Cómpramelos pues.
or go down the street and get some tacos.
Ay, tacos. Glenn says, back in the day, people would travel from overseas to the US looking for Volkswagen diesel pickups. Our yards in the Northeast were clean and they were all rusted out. Chris says the UK still uses miles per hour, and Buff agrees. Number one says, actually, Australia is a penal colony used by the entire Commonwealth.
Yep, we all know about that. There are some Volkswagen Rabbit pickups here, but because they're rare, people are asking a bit of money for them. There is a red one that I have on the list. A guy asked me for it, and it had been advertised for like, so I had to ask if the truck was still available. By the time those people got back to me, he had bought something else. So I do know that that truck is available, but I don't think I've seen a diesel here.
The chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah, I have a client for a real Caribe GT. He said his father had one when he was young, and he wants to buy one and give it to his father. And I found one real one way up in Monterey, Nuevo Leon, but I'm not sure he wants to pay that much because I have to bring it down here and then I have to deliver it to the border and all of that stuff. All the rest of them, people just put GT stickers on the side. And the GT was really interesting here, the Caribe GT, because it came from the factory with Recaro bucket seats with this pattern on it that was like two grays and a black, and it said Caribe GT right on it. You can't get that fabric anymore, but you can get the same thing that says Recaro in its place to reupholster those cars. So you know when one's original, it still says Caribe GT, but it's not a GTI because it's not fuel injected. It's just the GT with a carburetor, but it's a neat little car. The U.S. cars never came with Recaro seats, so we have one up on them. And those GTs are going. The GTIs are going for a lot of money. The 84s. We had the Caribe GT until 87 here.
Number one says, what sites or slash classifieds do you use to find cars? Are they word to mouth or sight on the street? Where could we look to find a car for you to investigate or request?
Well, what you can do is tell me what you want, and I'll make a list of the ones available. But of course, I use Facebook. That's the one that is basically everybody's using. We have an eBay type site here, which is Mercado Libre, which is a Latino. All the different countries in Latin America use it. It if you do go to like mercadolibre.com and then look for Brazil, the Brazil one, and then look up the old cars there because the prices are absolutely outrageous for like a mid 70s Galaxy, which is actually the 1966 Galaxy style, and they want like 40, $50,000 in. Of course, they put it in their money, but you do the the exchange rate, and it's like 40, $50,000 for a Ford Galaxy. It's crazy with what they want for old cars there, but they do have some cars on there, but the really expensive ones tend to show up on there because you have to pay to be on there and all of that stuff. So
Number one says, also any non Mustang Mexican Shelby's, like the Maverick, Futura, or truck are and van are popular up here right now too. Where is up here though? Where do you live? I'm assuming the US, but
well, I know about the Mexican Mavericks, but I've never seen one for sale, and I seriously doubt I ever will. If anybody that has a Mexican Maverick probably has a list of 100 people that want to buy it from him before he ever has to advertise it. And as far as the trucks go, they would all have been imported from the U.S. And there was a Shelby Mustang here that was a coupe in '69 or '70, and then they put runners on the rear roof like the Mexican Dart has that to make it look from the side like a fastback, but it wasn't a fastback. So
Dean says, same in New Zealand, Tavo. We were both imprisoned by the entry into the European Commonwealth market after Charles de Gaulle died. Number one says the real El Norte, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Go
Way
oil,
up there.
go Oilers, go. Okay.
Way up there. Jump over the U.S. So I'll be working on that deal on the Ormigas. I have to contact both of the sellers and make sure the paperwork is correct. The buyer is in contact with the camper van, the camper version. It looks pretty good to me in the pictures, but he says it needs refurbishing because it's an old camper. But I have to get the logistics down, make sure the paperwork is correct, that can be registered over there, and then figure out a way to get two of them to the border at the same time. I think I have a way, but I'm not sure yet. I haven't contacted anybody because I can only take one at a time on a trailer, and I don't really want to put that many kilometers on my Durango
Dean,
back and forth, back and forth.
sorry. Dean says that is to say metrics became mandatory for both New Zealand and Australia in 1973. It was the law.
How did people take that change though?
Chris says use one and tow the other.
Hmm?
Use one and tow the other.
Can't you can't tow anything with an Ormiga? No way. And then what would I do with the tow bar when I deliver the two vehicles? I can't put it on the bus. I can't do anything with it. So,
Behind the bus.
I mean, it would go on there, but it's very it's awkward.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So no, not a good thing. And then I wouldn't be able to put it in the Uber to get home.
No. Behind the Uber.
Drag it on the ground.
Yep.
No, I don't trust any of that stuff. The roads are so bad here. So much bouncing and everything. I would never trust a tow dolly. I mean a tow bar or anything like that. No way. So I have a transport guy. He has a flatbed truck.
Did you send him a message?
No. He has a flatbed that he could probably put the camper up there and tow the other one, lift up the front because it's a free flowing axle in the back because it's front wheel drive. And I think he could bring both of them, but there's a lot of logistics involved in that.
Glenn Nickerson apparently is in a cartoon. They said the way I transport cars: drive 100 feet, stop, run back to the other car, and drive another 100 feet.
I'm too old for that. I am not running anywhere. No, I'll figure it out. That's that's what I make the big money for. Figuring all this out. The guy's been on me to, hey, I really want these Ormigas. And then on top of that, the one that I told him was sold that he was first interested in now came back available again. Because I guess the guy that owned it lied to me and said it was sold. So, but that's in Mexico City, which is in a different direction altogether. On the plus side on that one is the transport company I use is in Mexico City. So I would buy that, call a towing company, put it up on a flatbed, take it to the transport company, drop it off, and then I get an Uber, go back to the hotel and come back home.
After taking a nap.
Well, yeah, we could do it a different day. We could stay another night. But I'm gonna have to contact that guy again because that he also wanted that one and it was cheaper than the other two. So I don't know. What are we done?
Number one wants to know what's your website or socials.
My website, you're on it. Oh, my website is mexicanspec.com.
Can I put it?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Driveway says sounds like you need a C-130 Hercules transport plane to move all your cars around.
I don't know where that would land. Is there an airport in Nogales? I think there is, but
Yeah, a small one.
yeah, I don't think it's big enough. No, I do them one at a time. I know I'm gonna have to change things. I want to start transporting more and adding that into the price instead of driving them. Although, if I if I didn't drive the black dart back, the water pump wouldn't have given out, which means it would have given out on the way north in the middle of the desert where there's no help at all.
Yeah.
If we transported the car over here and then transported it on a trailer to the border, the alternator would have gone out on Jason when he crossed it before he got home, and he would have had no place to rebuild it. I mean, the guy, I took the alternator to the guy. He took it apart. It took about 5 minutes to take it apart. Unsoldered it. The wrapping, the wiring in there was burned. And when I bought the car, I noticed that the charge gauge was bouncing and bouncing, but it would bounce from like over half to fully charged and then back and forth and back and forth. It was not a smooth charge at all. So I didn't really pay attention to it because it was charging. It wasn't giving me a problem. So the guy took the alternator apart about 5 minutes, unsoldered it, said, "This is your problem." The boss there, who owns the place, went in the back, brought one out. He says, "This is the last one I have." Took another 5 or 10 minutes to put it back together, tested it, putting out like 17 volts or whatever, amps, volts, whatever. We tested it, put it back in the car, charged the battery. He checked what was coming out of the alternator and what was at the battery, and because the wiring went from one side of the car to the other, it was losing some charge in the wiring, but it was still charging plenty, and all of that for $50. Rebuilding it, rebuilding the whole alternator, and charging the battery of the car for $50. So you can't beat that.
Big block is here.
Big Block 402. Hey man, haven't seen you in a while. It's been going well here. How about with you? Have you LS swapped your truck yet? 402 is the size of the engine in his truck.
Yeah, big block 402. That sounds like about right.
Uh-huh. No Name Nationals is coming up quick, so everybody has to be ready.
El no mames.
Huh?
El no mames. No.
Yep. Coming up, we're in May. We're in June. Tomorrow's June. July is 1 month. Is another month. Middle of September. So you have 2.5 months left. Not even 3 months. We're two-digit days left. It's coming up really quick.
You're talking about conversion on the chat.
Buff, what cars are you actually taking to No Name Nationals?
You don't have to yell.
Buff, what cars are you taking to No Name Nationals? I think you're going to take the Fairmont, but what's Kim going to take?
Sorry. Big block says recovery from a knee replacement I had done in March.
Ooh, that's rough. That is rough. Then you have to practice walking again. Ugh. That's terrible. Sorry about that.
Bob says Zephyr and Kim's dart.
Kim's dart. Is the dart ready to go though? Because you're doing a lot of work on your car. It's cooler inside your room, dogs. It really is. Don't know why you're out here with us.
You don't want to miss the chisme. They are Mexican dogs after all.
Well, that's true. We should get them shaved. Both of them, so they stop being so ugly.
Don't say ugly. Bob says Kim drives the dart every day.
So are you guys gonna race against each other? Whoever wins the 6-cylinder race? See who wins, Ford or Mopar. Do we close it out?
Hmm?
We're starting to get eaten by mosquitoes here. Mosquitoes are coming out. So I think we're going to end this. I really appreciate everybody coming. Oh, did any of you get any ads? I'm just curious if I'm not monetized, so I'm not putting any ads out there, but does YouTube put any ads out there anyway? That'd be weird if they did. But thank you everybody for coming. We'll do this again. And hey, my goal was 11 people. My goal was 10 people. We have 11.
Yay.
Oh, good. No ads. That's good. 8:30 Central, so that's 5:30. No, 6:30. Okay, Buff. I'll see you on my computer then. Mosquitoes are about to hit hard here. Yeah, both of us, Mrs. Spec and I, have both had dengue once. Ours were pretty light, but we heard about some really bad cases of it, and we do not want that again. We've had almost no mosquitoes here recently, so I don't know what's going on with that. But
It hasn't rained.
well, it hasn't rained, but mosquitoes anyway. So we will see all of you guys later. Thank you very much for coming, and we will do this again. I appreciate you being here. Bye. Glenn says, get those lights cleaned up.
Ándale pues, límpialos.
I'm hoping it rains.
Ay. I can't close it. Hold on. There you go.